Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video. And if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop the same question again and put repeat question will get moved to the top. And even then, it's not guaranteed because I get so many questions, but I promise I will get to you in the next couple of videos. I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And we are going to do a giveaway today. We're doing a giveaway for every video for all of December. Make sure you guys go check out my last Market Monday where we are giving away a Mega Charizard UPC. But this is what we are giving away today. We got a sealed Mimikyu Black Star promo. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed. You got to hit that notification bell. You got to hit that like, and then you have to answer the question of the day. So for today's question, what is your least favorite type in Pokemon? We do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Card Prison. Card Prison is one of the best binders in the game. Very unique too, because it actually holds top-loaded cards and sleeve cards. So if you guys are trying to get a little bit of a different binder, and you do not want to lug around one of those super heavy top-loaded binders, this is perfect for you. It's actually created by Rock Sandy. He is a fellow Pokemon YouTuber, and he's only 18 years old, and he already has his own binder. It's just crazy. And he is having a sale 15% off, and then if you use the code BEARD10 at checkout, you receive another 10% off. So it's the cheapest these binders will ever be. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. Then, of course, if you're going to grade through PSA for your first time, you can click my link in the description, use the code BEARD25 and get $25 off, which is basically a free graded card. And we are almost out of the binder-bound t-shirts and hoodies, so order them before they are gone forever. And our first question is from Matt. Remy Collects. Hey, Beard, a question for you. Do you think Destined Rivals is overhyped? Everyone seems to want it to be the next Evolving Skies, but it only has a few cards over $100. The Mewtwo isn't universally liked. The Moltres was just reprinted. Celebrations had a bunch of Team Rocket reprints, and those are dirt cheap. So do people actually care about Team Rocket, or do they just want to make money off of it? So I think it is definitely a little bit overhyped for how expensive the booster box is. That's just crazy. For a brand new set, that price is just outrageous. But normally when we're talking about Pokemon sets, it kind of goes by era. So you kind of got to compare this set to the rest of the Scarlet and Violet era, and it's definitely one of the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era. I do not think it is as good as Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies is basically the king of like high value chase cards, especially they are very, very tough to pull. But with Destined Rivals, you know, they do have illustration rares, so there's technically a lot better art, or more art technically in Destined Rivals than there is in Evolving Skies. But I do think Evolving Skies takes it, and I feel like most people would agree, especially when we're talking about those high-value chase cards. Evolving Skies just has so many. But when we're talking about Destined Rivals, having Mewtwo, Garchomp, Ho-Oh, Moltres, and then Nidoking's not the most popular, but those four as your top four chases, that's a pretty good set. And then it does have that Team Rocket hype behind it, and you brought up the Celebrations reprints, and I think that's a bit of a different comparison just because those were just reprints of not even that popular of Team Rocket cards. And these are, you know, beautiful arts of some of the most popular Pokemon. But I definitely do think it is a little bit overhyped for how much that booster box is right now. It's just way too soon for it to be that expensive. That's why I'm not buying any at those prices. I was lucky enough to get 4 of them so far, and I got them all at MSRP right when the set came out. But if we're actually talking about like all sets in general, Destined Rivals is definitely up there. But I've always said that I feel like the Sword and Shield era definitely did like the super high-end chase cards a little bit better than what we got in Scarlet and Violet. But the Scarlet and Violet era, their sets are better like all around because every set has a ton of beautiful illustration rares. We're getting like the best trainers we've ever gotten in Pokemon history. I mean, just look at that Ethan's Adventure. That is just beautiful. But I totally get what you're saying. And same thing with 151. I mean, that has the big hype of being, you know, Gen 1, 151. But if you compare it to the rest of the sets, you know, it's a smaller set. Definitely wish we would have got more cards. A lot of people don't even love that, you know, 151 Charizard. But it has that Generation 1, you know, logo behind it. So it just helps it so much. But like I said, all around, they are very, very good sets. All right, next question is from Matt. The Cool Cucumber. Hello, most bearded one. What do you think of the 2007 Japanese 10th movie promos? I think they're so cool, but seems to be overlooked. So I think they're pretty cool. I have a couple of them, and they're probably a little more lightly played. I have the Entei, but they're very affordable. I mean, even a PSA 10, the Darkrai sold for $177, and I think they do have pretty low pops. The Mewtwo is also sick. Yeah, there's been a couple times where I've wanted to complete this set, and I still might. But lots of cool cards, and honestly, very affordable too. I mean, the Entei here, I mean, that's like $40 with the shipping, but the 9s, they're super cheap. I mean, even the Jirachi here in a 10 sold for 118 raw $20 cards. So fun little set to complete for sure. Next is from Chacho TO514. Always love the content, best market updates on YouTube. Thank you. Question for you. Wanting to pick up the Gold Zard and the Mega Zard SIR from Phantasmal. Market is going down for most cards, so what do you think these will drop to, and when would be a good price to buy in PSA 10s? So we will check raw first. I definitely feel like there's a lot of people right now that are holding Phantasmal Flames for Christmas as Christmas presents or just something fun to open on Christmas. So I do think there will be a nice little wave, the couple days after Christmas. So I do think it will drop in price a little bit more. All last sold on TCG Player, $443, $419, $449, $450. If I had to guess, I think it could be at $350 by Christmas or a few days after. And the gold card, last sold for that, $325, $328, $314. Now this card is actually much tougher to pull, but I'm thinking maybe $250, $275, like I said, a couple days after Christmas. And then PSA 10, let's see here, last sold is about $1,800. Yeah, $1,800, $1,700, $1,778. I do think it will drop a little bit more. I think it will be maybe a $1,200, $1,300 card very soon. You got to think this card is easy to pull. So I would definitely wait as long as you can to buy them graded. But with the raw cards, I could see them being manipulated a lot easier. If Charizard does get down to, $300 something, I could see that card being bought up and going back up to $450 or $500. But it's just tougher to do that with graded cards because they're so much more expensive. So yeah, I would wait as long as I can for the graded cards for sure. You just want that pop as high as possible. And then for the raw cards, at least wait till after Christmas. I really want this card. I have been waiting very patiently. I normally don't care at all. I can wait as long as possible to get the cards because I know one day I will own the card. But this is one of the few cards that I've just been itching to get. And then here's the gold card. This one, like I said, is going to be much tougher to pull. This one's going to have a much tougher, pop report. And last sold in a 10 is $2,600. So yeah, like I said, just wait as long as possible. Next is from @Bucknut. Benevolent Beard, do you think now is a good time to start picking up and holding the stamped Prismatic Surprise Box promos? I already have the Sylveon stamped in a 10 that I graded myself, and I believe them to be surprisingly cheap. Every now and then at shows, all of them sealed promos I pick up get cleaned out. I was wondering if I should start setting them aside for myself as well. Thanks. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Whenever I see these and they look nice and they're, sealed and everything, I am definitely keeping them. You do not get very many times where we get every single evolution as a promo, where you can get them all. That's pretty rare. And they only come in one product, and it is Prismatic Evolution, so I do have a feeling that box is going to be very expensive. And when we're talking, $2, $3, $4 a card, that's not that bad, and it's not going to kill you to just, when you get a couple of them, just put them aside, forget about them, just keep adding to them. And the Umbreon, market price $15. I believe this is about as cheap as this card has ever been. So yeah, $15. This was once a $70 card, hung out around $25, $30 for a while, and now $15. Let's see what the cheapest sale is. $13.48. So hopefully this card gets below $10. That would be awesome to pick up. All right, next is from @Kubra. Question, if you were starting over but had all your current knowledge you do now and had $10,000 to invest in the hobby, what would you do? Would you invest now? If so, what? Would you wait to see if this is the real lowest of the dip? Love the content, dude. So there's just so many things that I would do. If I had 10 grand and I was starting over, I would definitely focus on getting all the new Pokemon Center drops. Like that's just a guaranteed. So that way I have new product coming in, every couple months, some of the best stuff, Pokemon Center ETBs, booster boxes, UPCs at MSRP. So that's what I would definitely focus on right away. And I would save some money for that. And then I'd probably go buy a super, super minty Evolving Skies booster box just because Evolving Skies is insane. Probably buy a couple ETBs to go with it, so I got the whole set. And then maybe a couple doubles of the ETBs because I still think they're pretty underrated. And then maybe something from the Sun and Moon era, Team Up ETB. Just another really cool, mid-era product that is definitely one of the best sets we've ever gotten in Pokemon history. So that's probably where I would start with sealed products. And then I definitely would be getting super clean Pokemon Center ETBs. These are brand new products. We've never had Pokemon Center ETBs before. I mean, we had some in the Sword and Shield era, but that's completely different. These new ones have the promos and stuff. And, I feel like a lot of them are still somewhat affordable for what they are. And I think they could absolutely go crazy in the future. So I'm definitely betting on the Pokemon Center ETBs. So I would definitely get a bunch of those. And then for cards, I would have to go get like a base set, master set, just for nostalgia reasons, probably Southern Islands. Very cheap, affordable set to pick up. And I still feel like they're super underrated and undervalued. And then I'd probably pick up a ton of promos, maybe even some of the Evolution stamped ones, just some cheap promos that I can, spend a couple $100s on and just put them in a box and don't worry about them for a couple years. The same things that I did with all the Greninja Gold Stars and, the Mew EXs and even the X and Y promos that people slept on for years. And then from there, I'll definitely just start doing my collection, not just pure investment or whatever, just starting all my illustration rares and special illustration rares and alternate arts, tag teams. I would start all that all over again. But I would spend that 10 grand real quick. All right, next is from @Trev DeRich. Hey Beard, you mentioned Spider-Man is your favorite. Did you buy any of the MTG Spider-Man cards sealed? What are your thoughts? Good investment. So I was actually pretty disappointed that Spider-Man did not get any numbered cards. I actually like numbered cards, not in Pokemon. I hope we never get numbered cards in Pokemon. But for other stuff, I don't mind it at all. It's kind of cool having a card where there's only like 4 other ones in the world, or like you have a 1 of 1. Like there's no one on the entire planet that has that same exact card. That's pretty cool. Definitely a money grab by the companies that are doing it, but it is still kind of cool. So yeah, I was just disappointed they didn't get number cards, so I didn't buy any boxes. I don't really invest in Magic the Gathering at all. Next is from @Sterling Vaughn. Question: with the recent news of Kabuto King and the small manipulation in the market of fossil common cards, do you see this as a possible catalyst to be the start of the second vintage boom? So it is definitely possible. I've actually noticed a lot of other commons and stuff from some of the other vintage sets start to go up in price a little bit. Now that I'm done traveling for this month, I'm going to take a deep dive this week and see if I can find any other cards that are going crazy. Next is from @561T Smith. Hello, the Bearded Wonder. With One Piece blowing up, do you see Pokemon cooling off more? If there truly is investor bros, sneakerheads, and scalpers fueling the current market if they slowly go to One Piece, I see it as a possibility. I think the 2 TCGs could run side by side in the hobby. So yeah, I definitely think they can for sure. And I have no idea how One Piece works and like what their boxes are and stuff. But if you can go to Walmart or Target and you can find a One Piece box that's, let's say, $50 and it's $100 on the secondary market right away, then that will definitely take a lot of the Pokemon scalpers away, which would be so nice for Pokemon. We definitely need a little bit of a break. It'd be nice where if you could go to a store and at least find a couple boxes here and there. It doesn't have to be the best stuff, but it'd be nice to just be able to find some stuff. But yeah, like I said, I have no idea how One Piece works at all. I tried watching the show. It's decent. I could not get into it hardcore, especially with how long it is, but I think I'm going to try it again. And then I think they do have a live action, which I'd honestly rather watch the anime probably. Next is from @Cesara. Hello, Beard. Love your videos. Very insightful. Repeat question. If you had a Twilight booster box that had a tear in it, would you open it or just keep for PC regardless? So if it's just one little tear on a booster box, not that big of a deal. When you go to sell it in the future, if you are going to sell it, you're just going to have to take a slight little discount. Especially, like I said, if it is just one small little tear, not like crushed, that's not a big deal. Because you got to think Twilight Masquerade, pull rates are not the best. You could pull the Greninja, which is basically the same price as the box already. So I'd probably just hold on to the box for sure. Next is from @Evan Venzramiran. Sorry if I butcher that. Question for the master of monotone. I like that. In your storage video, you talk about the bins you use, but I'm curious on a couple things. How many layers of booster boxes ETBs are you doing per box? And do you ever bubble wrap the cheaper plastic cases, or is that overkill? So I go overkill. I love bubble wrap. I actually do the whole inside line of bubble wrap, the bottom, and a lot of times I will even bubble wrap the booster boxes. And I like the storage totes that are not super tall. If you can find a nice smaller one, those are definitely my favorite, just so there's not, a ton of stuff stacked on top of each other. It also makes the totes much lighter, so you're not lugging around super heavy stuff, where if someone picks it up, they could drop it or, hit it against something. So yeah, smaller totes, and do not feel bad about bubble wrap, and especially if we're talking like booster boxes, Pokemon Center, ETBs, stuff like that. All right, next question is from @Dark Splurge. Hey Beard, I just sold some PSA slabs to complete my full Pokemon Center ETB Scarlet Violet Era seal collection. How do you think the Scarlet and Violet Era PC ETBs will do in the future, considering you get to stamp promos in them? Was this a good move? Definitely a good move. Like I mentioned earlier, big fan of the Pokemon Center ETBs, and I think they have a very bright future. Next is from @Mugito, a member. Hey PokeBeard, as always, thanks for the great content. I've been meaning to ask this for a while, but what is the big deal about a Pokemon Center ETB pre-Scarlet and Violet era? There's no PC promo, so why are they so much more expensive? Simply collectability and rarity? So we do have the extra packs, and then they're basically the most exclusive product that we can even get. So those are your two main reasons why they're more expensive. That's why I do love the Scarlet and Violet Arrow one so much better, because you're getting the double promo and one of them is stamped. So it actually adds a decent amount to it. All right, next is from @PokeFam. Dear Bearded Wonder, do you think it's a good long game plan for singles to focus on buying starter Pokemon and legendaries from each gen, both IRs and SIRs? So yeah, I think that's a pretty decent plan. I've actually been focusing on starters and legendaries like my whole life, trying to collect those for sure and get doubles of those. And honestly, it has paid off. Sometimes it does take years, but there will be a time where these kids that grew up right now with the Generation 9 starters will want to come back and collect, the first ever illustration rare and special illustration rare of their starter Pokemon. And you got to think, like Paldea Evolved, it has all the Gen 9 starters in illustration rare and special illustration rare. That's crazy. That's honestly never been done before if you really think about that, because even in Generation 8, when we started getting alternate arts, we would never get like the full evolution line like that. Like, that's pretty crazy. So that's why I do think picking up stuff like that, and even the legendaries that people might not like now, but could be very nostalgic to people 5-10 years down the road. And if you go look, like all the level X cards and prime cards and stuff, a lot of starter Pokemon and legendary Pokemon, they're some of the most expensive cards in those sets. So I'm a big fan. Next is from @Caleb Jones. Hey Beard Almighty, my favorite set right now is Black Bolt and White Flare. I would love to master set both or even just collect them, but I'm not sure at what point I should be buying market price product or keep waiting for retail drops. Love the content. So if you are trying to master set Black Bolt and White Flare, I strongly suggest buying singles. Please do not try to rip open a master set of Black Bolt and White Flare. Those sets are massive. And then also, I strongly consider, maybe not even master setting them. Unless you love buying, all the Pokeballs and Master Balls and stuff. Just maybe do the illustration rares and special illustration rares. I think you'd be so much happier and you would save so much money. And like I said, do not try to rip open a master set. I know you see some YouTubers do it and stuff, but odds are you're never going to finish it and it's going to cost you so much money. So just buy as many singles as you can. There's a lot of cheap, illustration rares for Black Bolt and White Flare now, and a lot of the more expensive ones are getting cheaper. So I would definitely start there. Next is from @Binstees. What's your favorite, most recent pull you've had? So we don't open a ton of packs here, especially with how expensive the market is. I'm just too cheap for that. But we did actually just open some Mega Dream. And Mrs. Beard, the one who always has the hot hands, she pulled the new Zoroark, which that card is crazy in person. The texture is just crazy on those Japanese cards. And I actually like that card a lot more than the one we got from Journey Together. So I thought that was pretty cool. And next question is from @Mike's Cardboard. If you had a massive singles inventory, how would you sort it? By Pokemon, type, rarity, chronologically, alphabetically? So I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about just bulk, definitely do it by set. And if we're talking about like actual like good cards and stuff, I'd still probably do it by set, to be honest, or by Pokemon. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I always go by set. Don't do alphabetically. Chronologically, you could do that, I guess, but definitely just do it by set. All right, and the last question is from @TheSushi. What's your stance on the grading scene now, considering everything with PSA and Beckett? So I've always been more of a raw guy myself. That's why I have a binder bound t-shirt and hoodie. And, 99% of my collection is raw cards. In my opinion, if I'm spending $1,000 and I get one graded card versus, if I'm spending $1,000 and I can get 50 raw cards that I need for my collection, I'm getting those 50 cards every single time until my collection is complete. That's usually when I like to get a couple graded cards, is when I have like my whole set complete and then I want to get like my favorite card, graded so I can put it on display. Especially if we're talking like vintage stuff. That's where I feel like graded cards, make a lot more sense, because the cards are so hard to find in good condition compared to modern, where basically everything is either a 9 or a 10. And then we're talking, hundreds or sometimes even thousands of dollars for just like a little nick here and there. So I totally get why, there's a lot of people out there that do not collect any graded cards at all. And I totally get why there's people out there that love to collect graded cards. I totally get it. It is addicting. It is kind of nice having a card that has a much lower pop, to where there's only a few hundred of these in the world, even though there's thousands of that card. But in that grade, it's much rarer. And if you guys did not know, PSA just acquired Beckett, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I kind of like when there's, a lot of different competitors, because it makes all the companies actually work a little harder. And, they got to improve to beat each other. And when a company just kind of buys everything, that kind of sucks. They did say they're going to keep them separate, but we'll see about that. Because I really hope Beckett stays the same, at least with their black labels and how strict they are. Even though I have seen quite a few sketchy black labels in my day, And I've heard some pretty sketchy stories about some certain employees that have a lot of black labels. And honestly, there's sketchy stories with every grading company. No grading company is perfect. So it really just depends on what you guys like. And then just know, I vend a ton, and still most vendors are not taking, tag. They're definitely not taking a lot of CGC unless we're talking pristines. And then for BGS, a lot of people don't want BGS either unless it's like a gold 10 or a black label. Unless we're talking more like vintage grails, then a lot more people are willing to pick up CGC or Beckett or whatever it is. But yeah, I think that kind of sucks that Beckett is now with PSA. I really feel like if Beckett just made a big overhaul on their website, maybe update their slabs a little bit, their turnaround times, and then actually go to the big shows, I feel like Beckett could have did work. But yeah, now PSA has them. So we will see how that plays out. I have no clue how that's going to be in the future. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you guys know what to do. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day, and make sure you guys check out that last Market Monday to be entered into that giveaway for that Mega Charizard UPC. You do not want to miss out on that because the last winner did not claim the prize.